Welcome to the NeuroLeadership Edge, the podcast for leaders who want to think clearly, even when everything around them is going crazy, is going really fast, when everything is on fire. I'm Claire Hayek, neuroleadership expert, TEDx speaker, and the founder of Mind, Soul, Purpose Team Building. Before we get into it, if you're not already following the show, this is your reminder. It's the single biggest thing that determines whether this conversation reaches the next leader who needs it. This is the third episode in the Calm Under Fire series. There's 7 episodes running through December, and it's built around my upcoming book, The Leadership Skill Nobody Taught You, Calm Under Fire in the Age of Disruption. Each month, I read excerpts directly from the book and walk through the research and the stories behind it. Now, over the past few weeks, you probably have heard directly from 3 of the leaders featured in the book. And this month, you will hear from 2 more, actually. So far, in the solo episodes, we have covered 2 things. In episode 1, why pressure becomes so constant that it stops registering as pressure at all. In episode 2, we talked about the patterns you build to survive that pressure and how those patterns become identity without ever being asked to run the show. Today, I want to show you what the pattern is actually costing you, because most of that cost never shows up on a report until someone finally goes looking for it. 3 things in this episode: where the cost of pressure actually lives, a story from the book about a number that never showed up on any budget or on any financial statement, and a question to carry into your next meeting that changes what you are looking for. Okay, let's start with something you already know. You've been working hard, you've been delivering, you're holding things together, you're handling a level of pressure that probably a lot of people can't handle. And this whole time, something's been quietly building up. It shows up, I would assume, in 2 places. Inside of you first, and eventually inside your organization, in the numbers, in the way everybody's acting, and maybe retention and bad decisions, and something you're probably not looking for. So the personal cost, let's talk about that first. That shows up as a small cost first, right? It's the question you hold back because it's not just the right timing. It's you not thinking creatively because this is not the right time to get creative because something is pressing. These are the small stuff that pile up each time, and they add up really, really fast. Here's something a lot of you have gotten really good at, including me. You take in whatever's happening around you, you process it quietly, and you show the world a calm face while a lot more is going on underneath. Sounds familiar? It's a useful skill, I have to admit, but over time, it's costing you something. It really gets expensive. Say you carry tension out of a hard meeting at the beginning of the week. That tension doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't disappear. It's still with you later in the week. And this whole time, it's kind of raising your baseline a little bit at a time. So the next hard thing that shows up doesn't land easily. It lands on a system that's already carrying that buildup, carrying that weight. So your reaction is coming from that stored tension just as much as from what's actually happening in front of you. So you see how this works on the inside? Now, if we look at the organizational side of things, this number actually costs big. For the book, one of the people I interviewed is a CEO. And in the book, I call her Nadia to protect her privacy. She runs a major public-facing venue, and she told me about something that played out inside her executive team over several months. One of her leaders negotiated a deal without looping in the rest of the group. The deal fell short of what everyone had agreed on. When it got challenged in a meeting, there was the elephant in the room. Something shifted, something happened. That leader felt exposed, and the whole team felt something break. And what followed was the expensive kind of breakdown. That leaders stopped making calls on their own. They started requiring sign off from the committee on decisions they used to own outright. 6 major decisions slowed down because of this. 3 strategic projects stalled. Meetings started taking longer because people were quietly working around a trust issue nobody had actually addressed. So when I sat down with Nadia, we mapped the cost together, one layer at a time. Leadership hours that were wasted or were absorbed, 6 stalled decisions, people operating below their actual real capacity, projects and opportunities that never got captured because everybody was busy dealing with this trust issue, 1 actual breakdown, and 1 misaligned decision that pretty much tipped the whole thing. Now, the total that we mapped together, we literally put numbers, how many lost hours, the average hourly rate, etc., how long. And we were very, very conservative because the idea is not to exaggerate. And it came to nearly $900,000 US dollars. 1 decision, 1 misalignment that basically cost this one thing after the other. Now that CEO looked at that number and she said, that's big. Then she said something that landed way harder than the number itself. She said that the real cost is trust. And when trust becomes the casualty, the whole organization shifts in a whole different energy, in a whole different mode. So people stop covering for each other. When trust breaks, they start covering for themselves. All that energy that should go into the actual work goes into managing that kind of toxic environment, the elephant in the room. So it's something when trust is broken, you can feel it when you walk in a room, even when everyone's still showing up, they're still there, smiling, still performing, still delivering. You can feel that there's a lack of trust. You can feel it when a team has stopped asking each other questions or challenging each other because something's changed that has nothing to do with what they're saying. It's just way beneath that. Trust. So the $900,000 was already sitting inside Nadia's numbers before either of us even looked at this. And typically, these numbers, this hidden cost of pressure and misalignment, it would get filed under, it's the market conditions, it's a seasonal variation. It's just, we've had a general difficulty this year. It just finally absorbed or kind of swept under the carpet. We're not really looking at it the way we should. So this is what happens when your nervous system runs the show without ever being asked to. It costs you something internally, like I mentioned earlier, and it basically writes itself straight into your organizational decision, your team's trust, your actual performance, and you have no idea it's happening. So here's the question I want you to take with you in the next meeting. What decision in this room is coming from a protected place versus an aligned one? What are we holding back on? Ask that, just that. And it's going to start making the invisible visible. You're going to start seeing the thing you cannot unsee. And you're going to start having the real conversations. Now, let me read you something directly from the book. It is this whole story is from chapter 4. What it is actually costing you. That's what the chapter is called. This one is a math problem. And like I said, it says more than any statistics could. Here it is. $900,000 commands attention. What it represents is a leadership problem, the accumulated cost of a leadership team operating from pressure over clarity, making decisions from a protected place instead of an aligned one, carrying the cost of a dynamic that went unrecognized and therefore uninterrupted. That cost lived outside every budget and every forecast. That's the whole thesis of this chapter in 3 sentences. The cost is already in your numbers. You just haven't been trained to see where it's hiding. Now, that's the gap I built this entire book to close. Learning to see where the cost is hiding before it turns into a number like that one, 900,000 US dollars. The leadership skill nobody taught you, Calm Under Fire in the Age of Disruption, comes out September 9th. If you want early access before it launches, go to clairehayek.com/book to sign up, and you'll get the manuscript, the final manuscript, in your inbox sometime in August. Now, I'm looking forward to the next series. And in the meantime, lead boldly, stay human, and let every challenge sharpen